My brothers and my sisters, some of you will enter Ramadan this year and feel nothing. You will fast, you will pray, you will hear Qur'an, but your heart will feel tired, distracted and heavy. And the frightening part is this: you will think this is normal. It is not. It happens when Shaaban tried to wake the heart and the heart did not respond. Allah gave you a warning before Ramadan arrived, not to scare you, but to prepare you. If Shaaban doesn't wake you up, Ramadan will feel like work instead of worship. And by the time you realize it, the month will already be slipping away. Stay with me, because what you do in Shaaban decides whether Ramadan changes you or simply passes you by. My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest signs of Allah's mercy upon this ummah is that He never brings a great responsibility without preparation. Allah does not shock the heart suddenly, nor does He demand transformation without warning. Before Ramadan arrives with its fasting, its long nights, its discipline and its intensity, Allah places Shaaban gently in front of us, like a quiet invitation to wake up before the real work begins. Shaaban is not loud. It does not force you. It does not pressure you. It simply reveals where you truly stand. It shows you the state of your prayer, the strength of your connection with the Qur'an, and the honesty of your intentions. If the heart is already struggling in Shaaban, that struggle is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to alert you while there is still time to adjust. Allah, in His wisdom, knows that the soul resists sudden change. That is why Shaaban exists as a bridge, a space where the heart can slowly realign itself before Ramadan magnifies everything. What feels light in Shaaban becomes beautiful in Ramadan, and what feels heavy in Shaaban becomes overwhelming later. This is not punishment. This is mercy. Many people misunderstand this month. They think Shaaban is optional, something to pass through until the moon of Ramadan appears. But in reality, Shaaban is Allah giving you advance notice. It is Allah saying, prepare yourself gently now so you are not broken later. When this mercy is ignored, Ramadan does not become difficult because Allah made it difficult, but because the heart arrived unprepared. If Shaaban feels uncomfortable, it is not because Allah is displeased with you. It is because Allah is inviting you to change before the opportunity becomes heavier. He is waking you early so that Ramadan does not wake you harshly. And the heart that understands this mercy begins to respond, not with fear, but with gratitude. Shaaban is not a burden, it is a kindness. And the one who recognizes that kindness will find Ramadan arriving not as a shock, but as a relief. Allah says in the Qur'an, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. There is something about Shaaban that makes many people uncomfortable. And it is not because the month is heavy, but because the month is honest. Shaaban does not decorate reality, and it does not hide the truth. It quietly reveals what is already inside the heart long before Ramadan arrives to magnify. In Shaaban, excuses fall apart. The heart can no longer say, I will change when Ramadan comes, because Ramadan has not yet arrived. Shaaban stands in front of you and asks a simple question. If nothing is forcing you, will you still turn to Allah? If no one is watching, will you still try? If there is no pressure, will your heart still move toward obedience? This is why Shaaban feels uncomfortable for some people. It exposes the gap between intention and action. It reveals whether our relationship with Allah is built on sincerity or on seasons. In Shaaban, there is no crowd, no routine disruption, no communal momentum pushing you forward. There is only you, your habits and your honesty before Allah. Allah allows this exposure not to shame you, but to save you. Because the heart that is never confronted with its reality cannot truly change. When prayer feels rushed in Shaaban, it is a warning. When Qur'an feels distant in Shaaban, it is a warning. When distractions dominate your time in Shaaban, it is a warning. These signs are not meant to discourage you. They are meant to guide you while there is still room to grow. Many people misunderstand this exposure and think it means they are unworthy of Ramadan. That is not true. It means Allah wants you to arrive ready, not pretending. Shaaban removes the illusion of strength so that the heart can rebuild itself honestly. Because Ramadan does not create new hearts, it amplifies the hearts that arrive. When a person enters Ramadan without addressing what Shaaban exposed, the month feels heavy, demanding and exhausting. But when a person responds to Shaaban with humility, even small changes become powerful. Allah does not ask for perfection, He asks for awareness. And Shaaban is the month where awareness begins. If Shaaban has shown you weakness, do not despair. That weakness is knowledge. And knowledge, when acted upon, becomes the greatest mercy. The heart that sees itself clearly in Shaaban is the heart that will find Ramadan lighter, sweeter, and more meaningful than it ever imagined. My brothers and sisters, one of the hardest truths to accept is that Ramadan itself is not what makes people struggle. It is what was neglected before Ramadan arrived. When Shaaban is ignored, Ramadan exposes that neglect without mercy. The fasting feels longer, the nights feel heavier, and the worship feels forced, not because Ramadan is harsh, but because the heart entered the month untrained and unprepared. Allah never designed Ramadan to be a shock to the soul. He designed it to be a continuation of effort, a deepening of habits, and a strengthening of what already existed. When prayer was weak in Shaaban, it becomes burdensome in Ramadan. When the Qur'an was distant in Shaaban, it feels overwhelming in Ramadan. When discipline was absent in Shaaban, restraint feels painful in Ramadan. This is not punishment, this is consequence. Many people confuse this heaviness with spiritual failure. They think something is wrong with them, that their iman has disappeared, or that Ramadan simply does not affect them the way it affects others. But the truth is simpler and more uncomfortable. The heart was not prepared, and Ramadan is now asking from it what it never practiced giving. This is why some people count the days of Ramadan while others count the blessings. The difference is not love for Allah, it is readiness of the heart. A prepared heart welcomes the fast even when the body is tired. An unprepared heart resists worship even when the reward is great. Allah, in His justice, allows Ramadan to reflect the state of the heart honestly. It does not hide weakness, it magnifies it. That is why Sha'ban exists. It is the mercy that warns you before the mirror is placed in front of you. It gives you time to correct, to soften, to train quietly before the pressure increases. If Ramadan felt heavy last year, do not blame Ramadan. Ask yourself what Sha'ban looked like then. Ask whether the heart was warmed up or left untouched. Because Ramadan does not suddenly change a person. It reveals the path they were already walking. And this is where hope enters. If you are listening to this now and Sha'ban is still with us, then Allah has not closed the door. The heaviness you fear can still be lightened, but it requires honesty now, not regret later. Because once Ramadan begins, the alarm has already been ignored and the training feels much harder. Sha'ban is Allah's chance for you to make Ramadan easy on your heart. And the one who responds now will feel the difference when the month finally arrives. My brothers and sisters, there is a reason Sha'ban feels uncomfortable for many people. And it is not because Allah is demanding too much, but because Allah is finally allowing you to see what you have been avoiding for a very long time. Sha'ban has a way of lifting the cover gently, without noise, without drama, and showing the heart its true condition before Ramadan arrives and exposes it forcefully. Throughout the year, life keeps us busy. Responsibilities pile up, distractions multiply, and the heart learns how to survive without stopping to reflect. We tell ourselves that we will focus later, that we will become better when things slow down, that we will reconnect when Ramadan comes. Sha'ban interrupts that illusion. It stands quietly in front of you and asks, what have you really been doing with your heart all this time? This is why Sha'ban feels heavy to some people even before Ramadan begins. It is not the fasting, it is not the worship, it is the realization that the heart has drifted, that habits have weakened, and that the soul has been surviving instead of growing. Sha'ban does not create this reality, it reveals it. Some of you feel restless in Sha'ban, not because you are sinful, but because you are distracted. Your prayers are there, but your heart is absent. Your tongue remembers Allah, but your mind is elsewhere. Your body shows up, but your soul lags behind. And suddenly, Sha'ban makes you aware of this gap. A gap that you managed to ignore throughout the year by staying busy. Allah allows this discomfort as mercy Because the most dangerous state a believer can reach is not sin alone, but unawareness. When the heart no longer feels its own distance, it stops seeking closeness. Sha'ban restores awareness. It makes the believer uncomfortable enough to reflect, but not yet overwhelmed. This month reveals patterns. It shows you what controls your time, what captures your attention, and what drains your energy. It reveals how easily prayer is delayed, how quickly distractions win, and how often good intentions never become actions. And this exposure can feel painful because it removes excuses. There is no fasting yet. There is no long night prayer yet. There is no pressure yet. There is only the truth. Many people react to this truth by feeling discouraged. They think, I am not ready for Ramadan. I am too far. I am too weak. But that is not the correct response. The correct response is gratitude. Because Allah showed you this now, not later. He showed you the cracks while there is still time to repair them. If Sha'ban did not exist, Ramadan would arrive like a storm, exposing every weakness at once. Sha'ban slows that process down. It allows the heart to see itself clearly before the intensity increases. It allows you to correct direction gently rather than being forced to change under pressure. Some of you are uncomfortable because Sha'ban is revealing attachments you did not want to admit. Attachments to the phone, attachments to comfort, attachments to habits that slowly pushed Allah to the margins of your life. Sha'ban brings these attachments to the surface and asks a simple question: if Ramadan started today, what would be the hardest thing to give up? That question alone reveals the state of the heart. Allah does not ask you to be perfect in Sha'ban. He asks you to be honest, because honesty is what allows growth. The one who admits weakness can strengthen it. The one who admits distraction can reduce it. The one who admits distance can return. But the one who hides behind excuses enters Ramadan pretending, and pretending is exhausting. This is why Ramadan feels heavy for people who never listen to Sha'ban. They spend the month fighting habits instead of worshipping. They spend the days resisting instead of surrendering. They spend the nights forcing themselves instead of longing for Allah. And by the end of the month, they are tired, not transformed. Allah did not want that for you. Sha'ban is Allah's chance for you to notice what drains your spiritual energy before Ramadan demands discipline from it. It is the moment Allah gives you permission to slow down, to reassess, and to realign your heart. When this moment is ignored, Ramadan feels like pressure. When it is honored, Ramadan feels like relief. Some of you are feeling a quiet unease in your chest right now, and you don't know why. That unease is not fear, it is awareness. It is the heart realizing that time is moving, that opportunities are passing, and that Ramadan will not wait for anyone to be ready. Sha'ban is your chance to respond to that awareness instead of silencing it. Do not numb that feeling. Do not distract yourself from it. Sit with it. Let it speak to you. Because it is better to feel uncomfortable now than regretful later. Allah is not exposing your weakness to humiliate you. He is exposing it to heal you. But healing only happens when the heart is willing to look at itself honestly. Sha'ban is doing its job. The question is whether you will do yours. My brothers and sisters, there is a silent danger that Sha'ban exposes, and it is not sin alone, but delay. The habit of postponing change, the habit of telling yourself there will be time later, the habit of believing that intentions are enough even when actions never follow. Sha'ban confronts this pattern gently but firmly, because Allah knows that delay is one of the most destructive forces to the heart. Many people do not reject worship. They do not deny Allah. They do not openly disobey. Instead, they delay. They say, I will focus when Ramadan comes. They say, I will change when things settle. They say, I will become better when I feel ready. And year after year, Sha'ban arrives carrying the same warning, while the heart remains in the same place. Delay feels harmless. It does not shock the conscience. It does not create immediate guilt, but delay slowly hardens the heart because it teaches the soul to ignore urgency. And when urgency disappears, responsiveness to Allah weakens without the person realizing it. Sha'ban arrives as a disruption to this pattern. It says not later, now. Not because Allah is impatient, but because time is moving whether you are ready or not. Ramadan will come. The days will pass, opportunities will leave, and the heart that always waits for the perfect moment will eventually realize that the perfect moment never arrives. Some of you are uncomfortable listening to this because you recognize yourselves in it. You are not bad people. You are not careless believers. You are simply delayed souls. Souls that meant well but postponed too long. Souls that loved Allah but allowed habits to dominate. Souls that believed in change but never trained for it. Shaaban brings this reality to the surface and asks a difficult question. If Ramadan came tomorrow, what would break you first? Your sleep, your phone, your distractions, your attachment to comfort? That answer reveals what delay has protected for too long. Allah allows this confrontation as mercy. Because delayed repentance becomes harder, delayed discipline becomes heavier, delayed connection becomes distant. The heart adapts to distance just as easily as it adapts to closeness. And once distance feels normal, returning feels uncomfortable. This is why Sha'ban feels unsettling. It interrupts the comfort of postponement. It removes the illusion that there is unlimited time. It gently reminds you that Ramadan does not transform hearts that refuse to prepare. It only exposes them. Some people become defensive at this stage. They say Allah is forgiving. And yes, Allah is forgiving. But Allah is also wise. Forgiveness does not cancel consequences. Mercy does not remove responsibility, and forgiveness does not mean that the heart will automatically feel sweetness without effort. Allah forgives sins instantly, but hearts require training. Habits require discipline. Discipline requires early effort. And Sha'ban exists precisely for that reason. You see, when a person delays change until Ramadan, they enter the month already tired. They fight the fast. They resist the night prayer. They struggle with focus. And they wonder why Ramadan feels like pressure. But the pressure did not come from Ramadan. It came from all the ignored moments before it. Sha'ban is Allah's final reminder before the intensity increases. It is Allah saying, do not wait until the weight doubles. Because once Ramadan arrives, everything becomes heavier for the untrained heart. The hunger, the restraint, the schedule, the expectations. What could have been gentle becomes overwhelming. Some of you think you are lazy. You are not lazy. You are delayed. Some of you think your iman is weak. It is not weak. It is neglected. Some of you think Ramadan just isn't for you anymore. That is not true. Your preparation is what is missing. Delay steals from the believer quietly. It steals confidence, it steals hope, it steals the joy of worship, and worst of all, it steals responsiveness. The heart stops reacting quickly to reminders. It hears them, understands them, agrees with them, and then returns to the same behavior. Sha'ban breaks this cycle by forcing the heart to choose. Either respond now or struggle later. Either train gently or be pushed forcefully. Either wake up willingly or be shaken awake by exhaustion. Allah is not asking you to overhaul your life in Sha'ban. He is asking you to stop delaying, to take one step now instead of planning 10 steps later, to fix one habit instead of imagining perfection, to respond while the call is still gentle. Because when Sha'ban ends, the alarm stops ringing, and when the alarm stops, training begins. And training without preparation always feels heavy. If you feel exposed right now, that is not condemnation. That is clarity. Allah is giving you clarity while there is still time. Do not waste it by telling yourself you will change later. Later is the language of regret. Now is the language of mercy. Sha'ban is not asking for greatness. It is asking for responsiveness. And the heart that responds now will enter Ramadan lighter, calmer, and more alive than it has felt in years. My brothers and sisters, one of the most painful realizations a believer can come to is the understanding that you cannot walk into Ramadan with the same heart you have been living with all year and expect a different outcome. Ramadan does not magically fix hearts that refuse to change. Ramadan amplifies whatever the heart is already carrying, whether it is sincerity or distraction, humility or pride, longing or laziness. Sha'ban exists to teach this lesson before it becomes painful. It is Allah saying to you, gently but clearly, that the heart you bring into Ramadan matters more than the actions you plan to perform there. You can fast every day, stand every night, and listen to Qur'an constantly, yet still feel heavy if the heart arrives unchanged. Because worship without preparation becomes strain, not sweetness. Many people underestimate the heart. They focus on schedules, targets, and routines. but they ignore the inner state that fuels all of it. Shaaban forces you to look inward and ask questions that are uncomfortable but necessary. Why do I rush my prayers? Why do I feel bored with remembrance? Why do distractions pull me so easily away from Allah? Why does worship feel like obligation instead of longing? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to wake you, because Ramadan does not ask these questions kindly. Ramadan demands answers through experience. Sha'ban gives you the opportunity to answer them honestly while the environment is still gentle. Some of you are carrying resentment, unresolved pain, grudges and distractions that have nothing to do with Ramadan, yet they will walk with you straight into the month if they are not addressed now. Shaaban reveals this danger. It shows you that fasting with a heavy heart feels different from fasting with a clean one. Praying with unresolved issues feels different from praying with surrender. Reading Qur'an with attachment to dunya feels different from reading it with detachment. Allah never intended Ramadan to be a month of emotional exhaustion. He intended it to be a month of elevation. But elevation requires shedding weight. And Sha'ban is the month where Allah invites you to put that weight down before Ramadan begins. This is why some people feel anxious as Sha'ban progresses. Not because Ramadan is coming, but because deep down they know something must change. The heart senses that it cannot continue as it is. The distractions have become too strong. The attachment has become too deep. The delay has gone on too long. And Sha'ban refuses to let that reality stay hidden. If you ignore this invitation, Ramadan will expose it mercilessly. You will feel irritated when fasting. You will feel restless during prayer. You will feel relieved when worship ends. And then you will wonder why Ramadan feels so different from what others describe. But the difference was never Ramadan. It was the heart you brought with you. Allah does not want you to suffer like that. That is why He gave you Sha'ban. A month where you can soften the heart before it is tested. A month where you can repair intentions before they are demanded. A month where you can train sincerity before discipline is enforced. This lesson is difficult because it removes excuses. You cannot blame hunger yet. You cannot blame tiredness yet. You cannot blame time yet. All you have now is honesty. And honesty is uncomfortable for the heart that has grown used to delay. But here is the mercy hidden inside this discomfort. The heart that acknowledges its state in Sha'ban has already taken the hardest step. Awareness precedes change. And the moment you become aware, Allah begins to assist you in ways you do not see. You may think you need to change everything at once. You do not. Allah is not asking for transformation overnight. He is asking for direction, for willingness, for humility, for a heart that says, Ya Allah, I cannot enter Ramadan like this anymore. That statement alone changes everything, because Allah never abandons the heart that admits its need honestly. The one who recognizes weakness is closer to Allah than the one who pretends strength. Sha'ban brings you to this recognition so that Ramadan can elevate you instead of crushing you. If you feel exposed right now, do not retreat. Exposure is the beginning of healing. Sha'ban is not condemning you, it is preparing you. But preparation requires response. And the longer you resist this lesson, the heavier Ramadan will feel when it arrives. Sha'ban is teaching you that you cannot carry the same heart forward. Something must be left behind. Distraction, delay, attachment, pride, comfort, whatever it is, Sha'ban is revealing it now so that Ramadan does not break you later. Listen to that warning. It is mercy. After everything that has been said, there is one final reality that must settle into the heart, and it is this: Ramadan will come whether you are ready or not, but it will only change those who respond before it arrives. Time does not wait for intention. Months do not pause for regret. Opportunities do not return simply because we wish they had been used better. Ramadan does not owe us transformation, it offers it. And like every offer from Allah, it requires a response. Some of you are listening right now with a heavy feeling in your chest, not because this reminder was harsh, but because the truth has reached a place inside you that distractions could not silence anymore. That heaviness is not fear, it is awareness. It is the heart realizing that another Ramadan is approaching, and that you cannot afford to let it pass the same way again. Every year, people promise themselves that this Ramadan will be different. They say it quietly in their hearts. They say it with sincerity. But when Ramadan arrives, habits remain unchanged, distractions remain strong, and the month slowly slips away. Not because Allah withheld goodness, but because the heart never moved when it was first called. Shaaban is that call. Allah is not asking you to become someone else overnight. He is not asking you to fix every weakness, erase every habit, or reach a level you have never reached before. Allah is asking something much simpler and much more serious. He's asking you to respond, to stop delaying, to stop negotiating, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment does not come before obedience. It comes after it. Responding now does not mean you will feel ready. It means you will move despite discomfort. It means you will choose action over intention, honesty over excuses, and direction over perfection. And Allah loves this type of response, because it comes from humility, not pride. Some of you are afraid to respond because you think you will fail again. You remember previous Ramadans where motivation faded, where consistency broke, where effort weakened, and you tell yourself, what is the point of trying if I will fall again? But listen carefully. Allah does not judge you by how long you stand. He judges you by how often you return. Failure is not the danger. Refusal to respond is. Ramadan is not a reward for the perfect, it is a mercy for the striving. But striving begins before the month arrives. It begins when the heart decides that this time it will not ignore the alarm. If you respond now, Ramadan will feel different. Not necessarily easier in the body, but lighter in the heart. Worship will still require effort, but it will not feel empty. Fasting will still challenge you, but it will not drain you. Prayer will still demand focus, but it will not feel forced. Because the heart will have already moved in the right direction. But if you delay now, Ramadan will feel heavy. Not because Allah is harsh, but because the heart will be resisting what it was never trained to embrace. And when resistance meets intensity, exhaustion follows. Allah is giving you a choice in Shaaban. Not loudly, not forcefully, but clearly. Respond now while the invitation is gentle, or struggle later when the demand increases. This is not meant to scare you, it is meant to save you. Do not wait for Ramadan to fix what Shaaban is already pointing out. Do not wait for hunger to teach you discipline. Do not wait for exhaustion to teach you sincerity. Learn now while learning is still light. If you respond now, even with one small change, one honest dua, one sincere step, Allah will meet you with help you cannot imagine. Because Allah never abandons the servant who turns to Him before being forced. My brothers and sisters, Shaaban is passing, the alarm is ringing, the door is still open. Do not let Ramadan arrive only to realize that the heart never moved. Respond now and let Ramadan change you. Ya Allah, we come to you at a moment when our hearts are finally honest. Honest about our weaknesses, honest about our delays, honest about how often we meant to change but postponed it. Ya Allah, you know us better than we know ourselves. You know what Shaaban has revealed to our hearts, and you know what we have been avoiding for far too long. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive us for every time we ignored your gentle reminders, for every moment we delayed returning to you, and for every opportunity we allowed to pass without responding. Forgive us not only for our sins, but for our procrastination, for our excuses, and for the heaviness we carried when relief was already within reach. Ya Allah, do not allow us to enter Ramadan with hearts that are distracted, attached, or resistant. Cleanse our hearts before the month arrives. Remove from us the habits that distance us from you, the attachments that weaken our focus, and the weight that makes worship feel heavy. Ya Allah, help us respond now. Help us change before we are forced to change. Help us soften our hearts before they are tested. Make Shaaban a true preparation for us, not just a passing month. Make it a turning point where we return to you sincerely and completely. Ya Allah, place barakah in our time, sincerity in our intentions, and consistency in our actions. Allow Ramadan to arrive as a mercy, not a burden. As closeness, not exhaustion. As transformation, not repetition. Ya Allah, do not let this Ramadan be like the ones before it. Let it be the month that truly changes us, the month that heals our hearts, the month that reconnects us to you in a way that lasts long after it ends. Amen. My brothers and sisters, if your heart feels quieter right now, if something inside you feels settled, do not ignore that feeling. Take it with you into your sujood. Take it into your nights. Take it into the days ahead. Respond to it with action, even if it is small. The alarm has rung. The door is still open. Do not wait. May Allah allow us to reach Ramadan with hearts that are ready, softened and sincere.